Hai, halo semua. How are you? Apa kabar? And welcome. Selamat datang di in Hangat Dharma's fourth episode, udah episode keempat. Prok prok prok, let's go. Yes, it's been going good. This long format of Hangat Dharma. It's especially before going to the episode, I really want to thank a lot of you for the overwhelmingly amount of love and support that I got because of the episode previous to this one, the latest episode. And yeah, I mean, again, the support and love and the kind of like the quote unquote praises that I got, whether some of you ada yang comment in the on the YouTubes, ada yang comment on my Instagram, ada yang reply story, ada yang chat to me personally. Even there's some of you friends and families yang and then wrote a good amount of paragraph, appreciating the episode or mama or my hubungan sama mama. And yeah, again, because it it it's kind of daunting to release that episode, even though again it feels right. It was a bit of a calling for me too. My intention was right, everything feels right, but again, I did technically kind of cried in that one. So again, yeah, makes sense untuk kayak agak takut to release that into the world. But yeah, again, thank you. Yeah, in today's episode I really want to talk, well, I actually really want to talk about this one specific story that surrounds AI. But honestly, I have this tendency of, talk about AI and then make it personal and then talk about AI for longer than I really have to. But yeah, hopefully it wouldn't be that long. So yeah, so the story that I really want to tell. So a few days ago, my good friend Indra, he sent me this reel. Yeah, basically the story inside of it, there's this person who he posted an AI painting, and he's if you're watching this in a video format, I'm gonna edit it. 3, 2, 1. He posted that. He said, I just generated an image in the style of a Monet painting using AI. Monet being Claude Monet, the legendary painter. And then he said, please describe in as much detail as possible what makes this inferior to a real Monet painting. And of course, internet kalau disentil or like disenggol kayak gitu, of course bakal meledak. There's a lot of people yang comment, negatively about this painting. Ada yang bilang, the reflection in A art is just noise plotted right. Monet actually understood how light behaves on water. Ada yang bilang, no frame, no sense of threshold between subject and object, just colors. Ada yang bilang, the choice of color in places, the purple around the lily pads. I get a sense that the artist failed to connect in the eyes of the brush, blah, 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 blah. Banyak banget. There's like banyak banget, and a lot of these comments itu nggak yang cuma sedikit, like there are a lot of people like wrote little paragraphs. Yeah, it's so there's a rumor that it actually is a Monet painting. And you get why I couldn't sleep for this couple of days karena mikir kayak ini orang nyebelin banget sih kayak. Again, if I did some research and I couldn't find any Monet painting that is actually a one-by-one replica of the one that this person posted. So I'm kind of in the side of being skeptical of this being a Monet painting, about this rumor of it actually is. But if it is a real Monet painting, first of all, it's a bitch move. Okay, he basically trolled everyone and go, yeah, you're stupid, blah 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 blah. It actually is real. Secondly, let's talk about if this actually is a Monet painting. Again, first of all, jerk move. Second of all, I get why a lot of quote unquote anti AI people could seem pretentious. It could seem mereka tuh heboh. It could seem mereka tuh exaggerating, being over blah 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 blah. I get it. There's so many situations where it kind of is the situation. Kayak mereka tuh it looks like they are kind of quote unquote pretentious. But look, I think if this alleged painting is actually a real Monet painting, I think it's it doesn't. It speaks more about what we really want, we as in human beings really want, rather than how stupidly they sound. Let's say misalkan I have a few jalan untuk ngomong, kayak let's say kita pilih kiri yang kanan. You know what? Kita pilih yang kiri dulu. Let's say there's a kid. Dia gambar. Let's say dia 6 tahun. Let's say all of us has this little sister or this little brother, and then mereka gambar. They draw this stick man yang mereka bilang this is Superman and Wonder Woman. Yang objectively it is a bad drawing karena mereka masih 6 tahun. So we're gonna say, oh yeah, it's so good. Not because we're lying, because we see what's behind it. What's behind the drawing? We see a kid being happy drawing it. We see the first time they're using crayons. We see the first time they're using colored pencils. We see the first time they drew a head. Yang kayak, oh, it's just a circle, but they can draw a circle. What? We see what is behind the art, or like the illustrations or the drawings. And then let's say we told AI to, you know what, AI, draw a stickman style of a Superman and Wonder Woman holding hands in a park. And it basically generates the same thing as what we saw that our little brother or sister was drawing in the first place. But what we didn't get in this generated AI image is that love behind it, or like that story behind it. Because again, we're all social people. We're just looking for stories. So again, the kind of like the same amount, or not the same amount, but like the similar amount of quality can have so much different value knowing who's behind it. So I think in this day and age, the context behind it is a lot more important than what it used to be. Okay, again, I get why. Let's say there's a situation where, you know, like a lot of like old people, or like people yang mungkin not really familiar with design or like illustration, or maybe they don't really have people around them that can draw or anything, that ujung-ujungnya kayak they use AI. Maybe for their like random post on like WhatsApp status, or like maybe they would post randomly on Instagram, or they would use it as their profile picture. I get why those people do those things. I may not like it, but I get it. I don't mind it. It makes sense, especially in this world where AI is that accessible. Segampang itu. Okay, if you buy like a new phone, there's like an AI feature like everywhere. In this phone, you have AI features to delete this picture on the blur, or like delete this background, or like delete these people on the background, blah blah blah. It's so accessible. So I get if there is those situations where a lot of people would use it for like random things. For that, I get it. Even to an extent of, let's say you want to give someone a gift, mau ngasih kado, and like, aduh, mau ada deh gambar pin kecil, or like gambar kecil di sini, just to tell how much you appreciate this person. It's not even the gift, it's just the accessories for the gift wrap, or like the gift, or like something like that. Again, even though I don't really like it, I get it. I don't mind it. I don't hate it at all. If you use AI, I think for me personally, it becomes a problem when those AI stuff is used for something that is supposed to be consumed. Whether it's something that is supposed to be read, either it's a novel, an essay, or listen, or read and listen, just like a song, or maybe just to be observed, like a painting or an illustration or an animation. I think that's where for me it becomes a problem, when it's something that is supposed to be consumed for us human beings. Yeah, it reminds me of this. So there's this theater play. I think it's you know what, I have a note. It is Nachtlen by Maries von Meyenberg. I'm sorry if I butchered that off. It is a bit of a viral clip where these two characters in a play, they talk about the art and the artist, and whether we can separate the art from the artist. And this viral kind of clip, there's this quote where it says, the woman says, a work of art is only what an artist says. If there's no artist, then there's only silence. And then this other character, this man, he said, not so. There are works of art that speaks to me even though I don't know who the artist is. What matters is what's being said, not who says it. And then they have this little argument about, again, the art and the artist, how impactful or how needed the artist is in terms of seeing an art. And yeah, the argument adalah this character, the woman, dia bilang, there's this clip where dia bilang, I love you. When I said that, it evokes a different feeling than when your wife says it or this person says it, blah 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 blah, blah. And then ada the man, dia bilang kayak, this work of art, I don't know who makes it, but it speaks to me in a way, blah 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 blah. I can't blah blah. And then the woman said, kayak, yeah, but you're dying to see what he says. So again, basically, I think I used to really love that conversation, that writing, that play. I still do, but I think my perspective kind of changed because previously, I really love that conversation because it speaks two truths. It speaks two truths, but it has a different output. The truth is basically appreciating the work of art, but one output is appreciating the artist, the one who makes the art, and the other one is basically just appreciating what is being said in the art. It doesn't matter who says it. Again, I used to really like it. I used to really love it karena it speaks two truths in the same time. But I think, again, what's amazing about human-made art like this one adalah it seemed to be able to adapt with the world around us. Karena the reason I really love this conversation sekarang is because my perspective changes. It speaks differently to me. Kayak, I think in this AI world sekarang, I tend to lean more into the woman's principle. Kayak it is more, the context of who made it is a lot more important than what's being said, even though what's being said, of course, it's also important. Tapi kayak the artist is who makes it. Jadi when it comes to AI making something that we consume, knowing it came from kayak, you know what, generate this, make this, blah blah blah, and then selesai. Knowing there's not a single thought went into it, there's not a single process went into it, there's no story behind it, there's no heart inside of it, there's no soul. It makes sense for us, pertama, it makes sense for us to feel it. Kedua, if we didn't feel it, karena let's be really honest right here, sekarang AI udah sebagus itu, AI is so advanced, it's basically really hard to know which is which, especially when it comes to pictures. It makes sense knowing the context it is not made by AI. We're gonna love it. Let's say the Monet painting. Let's say it is not made by AI, it is made by Monet. And let's also say these negative comments about ini warnanya nggak yang kayak Monet pakai, the threshold, blah 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 blah. Let's say those things are also true. So what do we do here? Ini beneran Monet painting, but also mereka juga bener ini nggak warnanya Monet. But the context of it actually is being a Monet painting makes us even curious kayak, kenapa Monet tiba-tiba warnanya begini? Why did he use this type of colors? I don't usually see he uses these colors. Atau kayak, why is the composition like this? It's a very different style than what Monet is used to, like paint before. Okay, again, we became curious knowing it's human. It's a human yang bikin di belakangnya kayak, maybe kita bertanya kayak, maybe ini mungkin pas Monet masih muda kali ya, knowing kayak dia belum sejago, he's not that good at composition. Maybe he's not that really good with colors yet, or maybe he doesn't really know. You get what I mean, right? Knowing it's a human made, it makes us even more curious, even if we kind of see the quote-unquote flaws behind it. Because we as human, we lives in the flaws. We lives in those brush strokes yang gak terlalu bagus. We lives in those typos. We lives in those kertas yang agak robek. So, when there's a drawing set, again, back to the analogy of a kid drawing a stickman figure of Superman and Wonder Woman, and then an AI drawing it, the value lives so much more knowing it's our little brother or it's our little sister who made it. It's their first drawing, or like it's their first stickman figure, or it's their first, drawing with trees behind it. So again, I think in this day and age, it is a lot more important to know the context of who's behind the art or who's behind the creation. Um, this ini sama sekali nggak bohong. Knowing I really wanted to make this episode, a few minutes ago, like before recording, I have this book, which probably is one of my, if not my favorite book of all time. It is The Creative Act: A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. And I was like, you know what? Let's just flip the pages. Mungkin ada some quotes that might help my kind of principle, my view of this whole AI thing being money and blah blah blah. And I kid you not, the first page that I kind of like flip through, and there's like a highlighted part of it. If you're in the format video, you can see there's a highlight part of it that actually speaks to me and speaks to this episode. Yang turns out ini juga I was the one who highlighted it. And I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read the whole paragraph. If you know what you want to do and you do it, that's work of a craftsman. If you begin with a question and use it to guide an adventure of discovery, that's the work of the artist. The surprise along the way can expand your work and even the art form itself. And I think it speaks so much, especially in the AI world stuff, blah, 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 futuristic, blah, blah, blah. If you know what you want to do and you do it, that's the work of a craftsman. I'm not saying a craftsman is not an artist. I'm saying in the context of, you know what, I want to make this type of painting. And then you told an AI to do it, and then the AI made it, like, just made a painting that what you kind of like describe. That's not the work of an artist. That's not the work of a, quote unquote, actual human being. Because you don't actually put in the work. And then again, let me read it again. If you begin with a question and use it to get an adventure of discovery, that's the work of an artist. So if you begin with, again, let's say a question or a purpose, like let's say, you know what, I want to make a drawing, or I want to make a film or a song that, that describes this feeling, or I want to make this that describes this, like that's a question, that's a purpose, that's the human being experience. And then having this whole journey and process yang mungkin belok dulu atau revisi dulu or blah blah blah, that's what makes it human. That's what makes it the quote unquote seni or like art. So yeah, it's again, I used to have this very weird situation differentiating the art from the artist. Let's say kalau misalkan I happen to love a singer that is like kind of like a Zionist, like aduh malas dengernya lagi. Atau misalnya kayak I happen to love this film, but the actor is this or blah blah blah. So I think, well, I don't think it applies to, well, I don't know if it applies or not. I haven't really thought of it, but when it comes to AI, I don't think you, or at least I think you really have to differentiate. Kayak, again, the context of knowing it really didn't come from a human being, just really, kayak, one of my first experience with DALL-E at that time, like 2022, I think. I think I described it to, like, make me a painting in the color of this, like in the color of yellow and purple, and then make it like I made a whole prompt for myself, like, and then made it like this, make it a brush stroke, blah, make the texture, blah blah blah. And it made a very interesting piece of quote unquote painting. Even I thought kayak bagus lagi, abstraknya bagus lagi, bisa lagi nih dipakai di playlist Spotify or like something like that. But knowing it didn't came from me, not a single thought went into my head to actually use it for my Spotify playlist or to actually use it for like a profile picture or anything. Again, just knowing the context is not being made with love or like with feelings, okay, with just human beings, it just like it worsened, like itu nggak tahu itu bahasa atau enggak, tapi it just made it worse, you know. And then what else? Yeah, again, I still don't know if the, again, back to the Monet painting story, I still don't know if it actually is a Monet painting or not. The rumor is it is, but I haven't found an actual Monet painting yang kayak itu. Even I actually asked AI, ujung-ujungnya kayak, is this actually a Monet painting? And then dia bilang kayak, I actually cannot tell you if it actually is or not. And yeah, I don't really want to, yap about AI itself. I think that could be for another episode. Kayak AI in general. Let's see what else. Okay, ini enggak. Yeah, I've talked about this. I've talked about this one too. Yeah, but again, I think, yeah, but again, what I think what I really want to kind of remind you guys, or like you friends, is that, again, I use AI, there's many times, or like there's so many times, or you know what, if my AI could talk, if ChatGPT or like Gemini could talk, the first thing that I would say that I do oftenly is like, check my grammar, please. It's like I would write a whole, a whole essay or like a whole personal poem or something like, is this grammatically correct? That's the, like that's itu yang the thing that I do with AI the most. But other than that, I love to discuss with AI. I think it's fun. Okay, can you? I think about this. What do you think? Is there's a journal about this? Is there like a video on YouTube about this? Or like blah blah blah. Again, I love discussing with AI. I do, use it. So I don't hate it. I just don't like it if someone uses it more than they have to. Karena again, there's so much spiral kayak about, kalau if I really want to talk about the negative of AI, kayak misalkan kayak, your attention span shrinking, or like memory retention juga berkurang, cognitive offloading, kayak basically makin bego, quote-unquote bego, yang emang gak quote apa, kayak you're literally makin bodoh if you use AI more than you actually have to. Kayak, again, I don't want to drop names, but I know someone who uses AI to make a prompt to then be copy and pasted to another AI to make them something. Again, I don't mind AI being AI. I know it's evolution. It's us. It's technology. It's evolving and ABCDFG. I get it. Of course, we can ignore it. We can only accept it to a good amount. But there's really, but there's still, there's still a line untuk making sure it doesn't really make us stupid. Of course, that's also the same thing with internet. Of course, internet so good, so great, but again, ada pornography, ada hal-hal sadisme di dalamnya, ada not really good stuff di dalamnya juga. Again, so basically what I'm saying is, be wise. But the thing about AI, the line between it being wise or not is very thin. Kayak misalkan, internet, nggak wise-nya, pornografi, hal-hal sadis, hal tidak baik, CTFG, cyberbullying. We can see when it is not wise, when it is not good. But when it comes to AI, hal yang kayak, again, making you more stupid, more lazy, or quote-unquote lie, knowing this, blah, blah, blah. Those are the lines yang very rarely kita ngeliat if we really didn't pay attention to it. So yeah, I really don't know what to say. Okay, I don't know how to end this episode other than reminding you to, be. It sounds cliche, but yeah, be wise with AI. You know what? I'm going to search for another highlighted thing, or like another quote in the book, that might be a good ending for this episode. Okay. Okay. Ancient Chinese alchemists searching for immortality mixed saltpeter, sulfur, and charcoal. They discovered something else: gunpowder. Countless other inventions, penicillin, plastics, pacemakers, post-it notes were discovered by accident. Consider how many innovations that might have changed the world have been lost because someone was so focused on their goal, quote unquote, let's say misalkan in this context, using AI, they missed the revelation right in front of them. The heart of experiment is mystery. Jadi kalau kalian lagi membuat sesuatu, even hal sekecil, you know what? Last story. This is the last story that I will tell in this episode. A few months ago, I helped my girlfriend make this makalah. Well, basically, I helped her bikin judulnya tuh apa ya? I know the context. I know what she really wants. I know what the topic is. And then, okay, I skimmed for about 4 or 3 journals about the issue psychologically, and the context is, or like the topic is, media gender in Legally Blonde. I do know the movie. I do know, and then again I skim a few journals, and then the result of me skimming those journals and then knowing the movie and then making the actual like 3 options of title that my girlfriend could use, and then me asking AI give me 5 titles that I could use about Legally Blonde and their blah 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 blah. Like egotistically and selfishly but confidently, I will say my 3 options of title is so much better than the 5 options that the AI gave me. Bear in mind, this is not long ago. This is like this generation of AI. Because again, those 3 options that I did, it kayak ada sedikit cerita kayak misalnya kayak, aduh keinget di sini dia sempat ngomong kata-kata ini. Terus tadi barusan di jurnal ini when I skim juga ada kata-kata ini. Maybe ada korelasinya. And then I made a title, atau misalkan made AI kayak, AI bantuin dong made a title about this. It's better than when you actually told AI to, you know what, kerjain 90%. Gue 10% cuma mau nyuruh doang. Again, it's so different. The process of a human being mind again, it sounds alay, tapi kayak again, the process of us sebagai manusia mikir untuk nyampe ke ujung, itu kita benar kayak, let's say I'm gonna tell their story, tapi kayak I wrote a song and then I really don't know the lyrics, cuma kayak ini lirik tentang waktu apa ya, and the lagu is a love song, and then when pas lagi nulis liriknya spontaneously kepikir kayak tentang waktu-waktu apa ya, and then I randomly thought about Captain America, and Captain America in my mind he is a man lost in time, and then gara-gara gitu I wrote the lyric lost in time because that's how the human mind works rather than the AI yang kayak cuma AI robot time bla bla bla. Okay, again, the journey of us wanting to make an output, again, whether it's a song, whether it's a makalah, whether it's a tugas, whether it's a film, whether it's a movie, a painting, a writing, it is inherently so much better, or like it is better objectively when it is made by you, by us, by human beings. Karena even if you draw something and gambarnya ada sedikit jelek, or like ada sedikit brush strokes yang gak rapih, atau ada sedikit garis yang mencong, that's where the human lives. That's where our humanity lives. That's where itu dimana kemanusiaan kita bocor dan jatuh ke that piece of painting atau that piece of song atau that piece of writing. So I think, again, I'm not hating on AI. I'm just saying that there is a line on where there is a line of it being too much saat dipakai for us human beings. I think that's it. Yeah, maybe next episode on AI, maybe not, but yeah. Thank you so much for listening. If kalian masih dengar sampai akhir, and yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day. I love you. Hangat, Dharma.